That's my
Everyone's a liar.
and speaking of lying, Jake, there was a report that came out today from Lombardi, Mike Lombardi. Wasn't really a report. It was a statement that he made. Um,
Pat McAfee
basically,
show.
yeah, on the Pat McAfee show, that the Rams were trying to move Matthew Stafford, and that the talks had been being had. Maybe 3 hours later, Les Snead comes out on a separate show, and he says that's not true. He made it very clear that, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald were not going anywhere. So a couple things, and I know we have a lot of Rams fans in the chat, which is why I'm curious to see you all contribute your thoughts on this. But here's what I'm taking from the situation. One, he did not bring up Jalen Ramsey. He didn't bring up Jalen Ramsey, and a lot of Rams fans have been speculating on Twitter and other social medias that the Rams are looking to shop Jalen Ramsey. It's been reported too, so it's not like it's just conspiracy. Like, there are reports that the Rams are trying to move Jalen Ramsey. So that's the first thing that I took away from Les Snead's comment. The second thing, Jake, you and I have a lot of thoughts on this, was when he was basically calling what the Rams are doing right now a remodel and not a rebuild. And I saw that and I was like, this is PR 101. If I've ever learned anything about marketing or PR, it is you take words and you twist them around and you phrase them to not scare people. But it might be true. I'm going to let you give your thoughts, because there's a lot of different things that this could mean. But I first want to hear your thoughts on the Matthew Stafford thing, because when that news came out, people like exploded about this. And me too. I didn't believe it, but I got like that little nervousness in my heart where I was like, I don't believe this, but what if I'm delusional? Like, could this be real? So what is your thought?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm tired of all of these, like, it's these analogies and stuff. I think it's just a long way of saying, like, there's going to be major changes, and they're trying to, like you said, very much slow play it, PR play it. I mean, they're trying to keep you, I just said I hate analogies, but I'm about to make a poker one. They're trying to keep you in the hand, right? So they have a hand, they got a decent hand right now that they're playing, and they're slow playing it. They're not raising, they're not showing their cards. They are calling. They're not, going all in or anything like that. They're not showing you that they have something. They're trying to get you to put more into the pot, right? And that is where you, me, and just any fan, we are the people that are, calling their call, and we're putting more money into this pot to stay in the hand, to see what is it that they're doing. What is it that I'm holding? Why did I not fold yet? Why am I still in this hand? Why? And I think the big thing here is that they are trying to bring us in to try to say, look, there's going to be changes, but it's okay, because now they're going to package it in a way where they're going to say, well, come on now. We have Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald. And it's almost like they're going to forget. They're going to like act like, oh, Ramsey and Floyd, all these guys just never existed. And that was my biggest like worry, is that they were going to act like this is the new normal. This shouldn't be the new normal. And I can't stress it enough, Alexis. I don't like this at all, because this is the time to strike. Has the NFC ever been easier? I mean,
Right.
Rodgers is leaving. Brady retired. Now you're talking about Derek Carr just came over, and now he's considered a top 5 quarterback in the conference. I mean, all the dominant quarterbacks are in the other conference. Right now, it's Stafford, it's Jalen Hurts, and Jared Goff, arguably, are your top 3 quarterbacks in the NFC. If that doesn't tell you that the time is now to strike, I don't know what's going to. So I don't like this.
Well,
I've made that very clear, but I'll say this. The Stafford thing, there's no logical explanation to trade Stafford. The Rams, keep this in mind, because of his contract, Alexis, would probably have to trade picks with Stafford so a team could take on his contract. That's stupid. And how does that look as an organization? The only 2 quarterbacks that won you a Super Bowl, and you tossed them like they were street trash. Like not even 3-4 years later. Kurt Warner, Stafford in this case.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's the thing when you start really thinking about what it would take for the Rams to move Stafford, it's just like not even I mean, feasible, really. I mean, and if it was, it would just hurt the Rams way more than it would help them. I think my thing with the comments today and everything that came out, like in my mind, what I feel the Rams are doing is they're remodeling a house that didn't need to be remodeled.
Yeah.
If we're gonna stick with that kind of cringy analogy,
Oh, it's so cringy.
but like this is like I'm just rolling with it. Like in my mind, and I don't know how everyone in the chat is gonna feel about this, but like my thing is I felt like when the season ended, we would have been better off if we wanted to contend next season. I don't really see why we couldn't. I get that there was cap issues, like there was going to have to be minor changes, right? But I don't get why we couldn't have tried to keep our core together, add some key pieces in the draft, get healthy, and go into next season. Like that was what I figured was the obvious like
Yeah.
move. And I feel what the Rams did is they got impatient and they got antsy and they start ripping down the walls and taking down the wallpaper and doing the remodel that didn't need to be done. That's the way that I'm interpreting it. And I don't know the situations obviously going on. I don't know if there were players that wanted to leave. Um, I'm not like as well versed in the cap as I probably need to be, but like it didn't look like the numbers were that insane. Like, I mean, there's certainly been teams that dealt with worse. Um, so I think, when Les, in his interview, is talking about, well, at least we have Stafford, Cup, and Donald. In my mind, I'm like, okay, but we could have more. Like, I don't know. And maybe it's just change and we just have to like get used to it. But I still feel like this is a lot of unnecessary selling. And who knows? And it would also be different if the Rams drafted better in the past couple years. I would feel a little more optimistic going into this draft. Like, oh, well, maybe we can just sell a couple of these players, get more picks, and we'll just like kill it in the draft. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they obviously have to have a plan.
Yeah, they clearly have a plan because there's no way you make these type of, franchise altering moves just to make moves, right? Like they're definitely going to have something. It's definitely concerning when you're moving this many guys and you're calling it a remodel and you're trying to prepare the fan base like, oh, it's going to be a remodel. This isn't a remodel. You're taking a wrecking ball of the house and you're leaving the studs left intact essentially. I mean, like it is ridiculous. And the idea like, oh well, we still have Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald, that's just trying to basically, you know what that is? I'm going to tell you what that is. That's Madden. That is literally Madden NFL football in a nutshell. We're going to take away franchise, like certain things in franchise mode. And then all of a sudden we're going to be like, oh my God, we brought it back. Like, can you believe this new feature? It's like, hey, you dunce, you had this in 2007. Why did you removed it? And then you just ran out of ideas. So you started removing things and then putting them back in the game. And by the way, this is why I don't play the game anymore, because it's constant just taking stuff out, putting it back in, taking stuff out, putting it back in. So, I mean, is that not what the Rams are doing? They're getting rid of Jalen Ramsey. They're getting rid of so-and-so, whatever. And now they're trying to sell us on a core of Kupp, Donald, and Stafford. And think about this. We can love all three all we want. Kupp is the youngest of that group, okay? And he's had ACL tears. He had the, the ankle injury this year. He's like a running back at this point. He has a lot of miles on him because they're just force feeding him the ball every which way. He also plays in the slot a lot, so he's going to get hit over the middle. So who knows how long he's going to last. And then you look over at Donald, who has 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the NFL. Let's be honest here. Like, wouldn't be surprised if he retired. Wouldn't be surprised if he requested a trade. And then you have Matthew Stafford, who is 35, and I don't think that's relatively old, right? Like, he can still play another 5 years by age, but what is Matthew Stafford in terms of his injuries? Is this guy a 38-year-old in a 35-year-old's body? I mean, we don't know. So the argument here is that they're rebuilding or whatever, they're soft rebooting, like I've been saying. But my biggest issue is that you're saying that you're building around a core of guys that are older. And you're getting rid of Jalen Ramsey, who is 28. He's the best corner in the NFL. And that is your argument, is that like, oh, well, we have our core pieces. Like, no. You have your core pieces, but you're pretty much setting yourself up for like a complete like nosedive when your core pieces are gone. And that's the thing, is that, who's to say Stafford even makes it through this season? They got to fix the offensive line. Who's to say that Aaron Donald makes it through this season? I mean, I think this is going to be a problem because what is really upsetting to me, Alexis, is that you and I have kind of both, agreed. It took a little bit, but we both agree that like Raheem Morris's bend don't break defense was best for the defense. Now I feel like they're asking way too much of Raheem Morris and that coaching staff. And keep in mind, it would be a lot to ask for a coaching staff that was intact, but they just completely revamped their defensive side of the coaching staff. And now they're going to bring in all these new starters. I don't like this one bit. I think, their eyes are clearly on 2024, 2025, and 2026. But when you have Donald, you have Stafford and you have, Cooper Kupp, you got to maximize those years. You can't just, throw 1 year away and be like, yeah, we might make the playoffs. We might not. But, we're looking at 2024. And you cannot tell me, and people have said that I'm wrong, but you cannot tell me, Alexis, that this team cares about winning the Super Bowl in 2023. They don't. If they did, they wouldn't be talking about making these moves. They wouldn't be making these moves. They easily could have milked another year of restructures. I went over it on live streams. I showed people they could have saved about $50 to $60 million in cap space just doing restructures and maybe a trade post June 1st. But this is ridiculous. I mean, the thing that's going to piss off fans is the fact, okay, you're getting rid of Leonard Floyd. Well, now you just created a need. You're getting rid of Leonard Floyd. Well, now $19 million in dead money. So you're only saving $3 million. That's the big thing that this fan base is going to have a hard time understanding, why they should go out there, why they shouldn't sell their PSLs, why they should even bother going to SoFi Stadium when the product on the field isn't going to be as good. And on top of it, when you look, it's like they're not saving money, but they're creating all of these needs. It's a problem. They're looking at 2024 and they're neglecting the fans of, for 2023. And after a 5-12 season, this fan base deserves better.
I agree. And I think it sends really conflicting messages of, when the offseason started, right? We all thought Sean McVay might leave. And then he's like, I'm coming back. And we're all like, here we go. Like, they're not going to go out on that note, right? Like, after the atrocity that was last season, like, they're coming back with a vengeance. Then we find out Aaron Donald's coming back. And we're like, all right, here we go. It's happening. Like, it's really happening. And then it was like, the Super Bowl ended and like a switch flipped, and it was like fire sale, panic,
turmoil,
remodel, not rebuild. And we're like sitting here like, what's going on? And I really feel, and again, a lot of people might disagree with this. People are always like, you don't know what's going on inside the organization, whatever. But like, it just feels like they're panicking. And I'm very curious, Jake, and this is then just like diving deeper into this conspiracy, is like, would McVay and Aaron Donald not be mad right now?
Yeah, it's
would you think
weird.
Like, if you come back, like if you're Sean McVay, you're considering going to do TV, but you're like, you know what? We had a really, really bad season last season. I can't go out on that note. Like, I want to come back with a vengeance. I want to, get healthy, whatever. And then it's like your front office is like, like we're kind of like and he might be involved in this decision. I don't know. But I'm just like thinking it doesn't really line up with what his words and actions were. Right. Because it's got the fan base like confused. It's just sending very mixed signals.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know. Like, they obviously have a plan, but is it a plan that like is reasonable?
I mean, that's the thing. And like, with this fan base, like, so you're telling me that, this fan base just had to watch you whiff on Christian McCaffrey, watch the Niners get Christian McCaffrey, then watch the Niners have their run, beat the Rams twice last year, go to the playoffs, go to the NFC title game. It's like, I mean, what are you trying to accomplish? I mean, I get, they're looking ahead at 2024, 2025, 2026. I get that. But like, why at this point, why even hang on to any of these players? Why not just start anew entirely? What is the point of having a core group of players that are 30 or, above? That doesn't
Well,
make sense.
I don't think the Rams realize what they're doing though.
They're
So there's
acting like they're
two.
the Bengals, though, with like
Well,
25-year-old Joe Burrow, 26-year-old Joe Mixon, 23-year-old Jamar Chase, and
I don't
22-year-old
necessarily
Higgins.
I don't necessarily disagree, but what I will say is like I think the Rams approach like the panic. I don't think the Rams realize they're panicking. I don't think they're a team that is like, okay, guys, we're rebuilding. I don't think they think that that's what they're doing,
Yeah,
but I think they're overreacting. Like
they are.
they probably legitimately believe that this is like a remodel, right? But they're behaving as if it's a rebuild. But I do want to throw some comments up, Jake. I think I'd like to see like what everyone's saying about this because I know people are gonna have a lot of thoughts on this. Um, just as I've seen them all day.
Let's see here. We got. So what happens if Stafford decides to hang him up after this year? Maybe Cup feels like he's had a career as well. Don't see Donald coming back next year either. We're left with quite the void. That is exactly right. And I mean, just to assume that they're all cool with everything going on, I think is a poor assumption. Um, you know,
Well,
this is a team that has had a lot of success under Sean McVay, and to just go from that to 5-12 and then be like, yeah, you know what? We're going to just chill in the basement a little bit. We're going to come back up. And like, not everybody. And the thing is, you're playing a incredibly violent sport, incredibly dangerous sport. And it's like these guys' careers, I mean, like we've seen it before. How much longer do these guys have to play? I mean, your career isn't that long unless you play quarterback, and not always, But like, that's the thing is like, do you think Aaron Donald wants to run the risk right now? He's CTE free. Like, he's not going to deal with that. He doesn't have any concussions on his resume, right? So, is he more likely to retire after this season? Is he more likely to retire like soon and try to get out without those injuries? Or is he more likely to wait until he has those injuries and then retire? Like, I think to me, when you're in that position, like, it sounds like almost the Rams sold to themselves that they were fine winning one ring. Like, they went all out for one ring. And it just doesn't feel, I don't know. And then
I
also
don't
the Stafford thing, the Super Bowl thing, how they're going to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like, what about those comments? That's the thing. I don't understand all this.
and that's why I feel the Rams don't see what everyone else is seeing. Like, so like and like I'm probably not explaining this in the best way, but I don't think the Rams, I think that they think what they're doing right now with the overreacting is them setting themselves up. But I think that their mindset is kind of one more out of panic than out of just like, holding your cards. Does that make
Yeah.
sense to anybody but me? Like, I think that I think they're doing too much. Like, I think this is a definition of doing too much. Like, I don't think they needed to go shake it up this much because like if you look at last season, like we obviously had a lot of flaws. It was not just injuries, but I think that we probably could have addressed it in a different way. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that made sense, but
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, it feels like they did too much, and it feels like maybe they're really going all out to try to be a team with sustained success. It also seems like a team that offense wins championships mentality. We saw the Chiefs, we saw them get rid of Tyreek Hill, we saw them get rid of Honey Badger, we saw them let Javarius Ward leave. Like, and they're just like, all right, well, we have the Chris Jones on our defense, Aaron Donald. All right, well, we have the Travis Kelce on our offense, Cooper Kupp. All right, we're already paying our quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. We got Matthew Stafford. And then, in that case, it's like you have to hit on your picks now. And the irony is that you have, even though you had the all or nothing, F them picks mentality where they put a lot of pressure on you to hit on your later picks, I would argue you've never had more pressure to hit on your picks than right now. Like this draft, Alexis, if they miss on this draft, it could absolutely crumble them. They need to hit on multiple guys. They need to be able to get guys that they can count on being starters, this upcoming season. They need to at least get a first round pick out of Jalen Ramsey. To me, I think they need to get at least a first and a third. I don't know if they will, but if they're going to trade Ramsey, that's what they're going to have to do. And just the problem is, like, everyone's like, well, it's okay. Like, it'll work out. They have a plan. What's their plan, though? Because at the end of the day, what they're doing, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to go on a SPO track, type in what they're doing, put it into the simulator, right? And then realize, wow, that's not saving me a lot of cap. Then how are you going to sign all these guys? I see people are like, oh, well, we should sign this guy. We could sign this guy. Where are you getting the money from? The Rams aren't saving money with these moves in 2023. That is the issue. They're not, like, I don't know how much better they can get.
And that's where it kind of goes back to, it's not about the money. It's about the way they think the team was composed and how they performed. Right.
Yeah. It's overreacting.
I mean, and that's overreacting. Because again, like, I don't think we had a normal quote unquote season last season. Like, it was just like injury ridden and yeah.